So hello again, everyone. Welcome to another Michigan Military Technical and Historical Society Museum vehicle restoration video. We're doing, I guess I'm doing back-to-back ones here, 2 nights in a row. I've been out here working on the M37, trying to get some stuff done on it while we still have this unseasonably warm October weather here in Michigan. So, been out here today, and I got the rear shocks put in. In the last video, we showed those sitting on the bench with all the hardware all painted up. I got those put in, and one of the other issues that we had with this truck was when you would put fuel in it, it was leaking. Well, we'll kind of come over here. We'll take a look at one of the things that we have going on here. So there's the fuel filler neck, which comes through this hole, goes down into the gas tank down there. And the filler neck is connected to the gas tank with this hose. This hose is not supposed to look like this. It's supposed to look more like this. This is the result of lovely ethanol in our fuel, which attacks everything that is rubber. So this fuel filler hose at one point looked like this, and with the ethanol in our fuel, it now looks like this. It also, I think this was cut way too short as well, but that's a whole nother issue. And then in order to, because it was leaking, I can see somebody was doing a bunch of creative repairs. They wrapped it in duct tape and what appears to be a cut up aluminum can, which wasn't helping at all because duct tape is not fuel resistant, and it's just a piece of cut up aluminum can, unless you somehow seal it, is not going to do jack squat. And the problem is this, and I mean, you can see in this is completely disintegrating. I'm sure there are pieces of this hose in the bottom of the gas tank, which is also not good. You can see how this is totally delaminating. I am wondering if this was even fuel rated hose. I've seen them bad, but I've never seen them this bad. But I don't know. But this is the replacement fuel filler hose that we got from, I believe, Midwest Military. It came in the mail. I'm going to have to trim it to size and put it in there. But one of the other things that we discovered in the meantime, while we were working on the gas tank, is we have a pinhole. So let's go down there and take a peek. So we're under the truck, and here's our fuel hole for the fuel filler neck. Comes down, fuel goes in. Here's our gas tank underneath here. See if I get this light. But this gas tank was not leaking this morning. And I think in the process of me jostling it around to pull the filler neck out, I believe that it started doing this. I don't know if you can see it. That didn't work real well. But we have a pinhole in this tank, and you can see it is leaking. I put Mr. Gas Can down here to try and catch it. Of course, this tank is full. So it's got, I don't remember what the capacity is, but it's probably got 15 plus gallons of fuel in it right now because it's reading full of the gauge. So this is one of the things that you have when you're dealing with a vehicle of this age is you come up here and you're jostling around and you're fighting with this fuel filler hose that's up here and you're shaking things, and all of a sudden over here a leak opens up and starts dripping on the floor. Been looking at it. This is small enough that I can probably do a gas tank patch. But this fuel tank also has a drain back here, which you can see is wet, and another drain up here, which you can see is also wet. And I don't know. This is, as far as I am aware, the original tank, which means it is what? Oh Lord, 60 60 years old at this point in time, 63 years old at this point in time. Or no, yeah, 70 years old. Whatever, 60, somewhere there. I can't do math. I'm laying under here in all these fuel fumes. Don't ask me to do math right now. Laying upside down in a puddle of gasoline. But whatever. So this tank is old. And if just jostling around opened up this, chances are there's another pinhole. There's a big dent over here in it too. So I think I'm going to order a new tank and put it in. I've done a fuel tank on one of these M37s before. One that at another museum I was working at. They're a pain in the butt. They're not the worst gas tank in the world to do, but they're just a pain in the butt. And I found that the reproduction tanks don't fit like they should, but nothing reproduction ever does. So that's kind of where we're at. I wanted to kind of show this. I wanted to show you that fuel hose so we can talk a little bit about, the effects of ethanol-based fuels on vintage equipment. So yeah, we'll take one last look at our hose here. So, if you're working on a vehicle, any kind of classic car, classic truck, in today's day and age, if you can, when you're rebuilding or working on the fuel system, always try to get replacement parts that are rated for ethanol-based fuels or ethanol content fuels, so that you don't have this problem. I don't know if this is an ethanol-rated hose or not. The place that I got it from did not indicate that. I might call them and ask them. Your other option is, we're lucky. I'm here close to the water here. Close to Lake St. Clair, so we have a lot of places around that sell rec fuel for your boats. So if you find a place that sells recreational gas or rec fuel, does not have ethanol in it, it's always a good option when you have a vintage vehicle. I run, most of my cars I run ethanol-based fuel in them just for the convenience, and I always try to get ethanol-rated parts when I rebuild them, your fuel pumps, your rubber in your carburetors, but sometimes it isn't possible, and you end up with a situation like this. So that's just kind of where we're at, and something to be aware of. And you got to watch it because this thing was breaking down, and so if this was a fuel hose, a fuel hose upstream, and it's breaking down on the inside like this, you're sucking that into the fuel filter. If this is like a line that's coming off up to your carburetor, you're sucking, it's breaking down like this and it's sucking crap into the carburetor, and you're going to have all sorts of problems. Luckily, most of the small hose that is sold at auto parts stores now is ethanol rated, so you don't really end up with that problem. So that 5/16 and that 3/8 fuel line that you're getting from your local, O'Reilly's or AutoZone or whatever you want to shop at is likely an ethanol rated line, and then hopefully you don't see this situation. And but it's just something to be aware of. If you're running original parts, you're running, you got NOS parts you're using, they are not going to be ethanol rated. You got your fuel pump, you got an NOS fuel pump or something that you put on, that diaphragm is not going to survive ethanol rated ethanol content fuels. So just something to be aware of, and a great visual representation of really a worst case scenario right here. This is the worst one I've ever seen. The way that collapsed in on itself is insane. So I guess I'm going to go into the house and hop on the old interwebs and order up a fuel tank, and then figure out what I'm going to drain all this fuel into. Gonna have to get some jerry cans out and make sure that they don't leak, because that's the other problem they have. We have a lot of old jerry cans laying around, but half of them have pinholes in them. They're just as bad as this gas tank. So I guess I know what my project is for the next couple days. So again, M37, still waiting for the rear end to come back, but we got everything else done. And every time we think you got ahead of it, something else goes wrong. I've come to the conclusion that this vehicle, that the leaks have leaks, And in reality, I should really just put it up in the air. The transfer case leaks, the PTO is leaking, the winch is leaking, the transmission is leaking, the front axle is leaking, the rear axle is obviously the reason why it was here, and we're addressing those leaks. But it's just got leaks everywhere. But as of right now, this truck runs, or well, I guess as of about a month ago, before I tore the rear end apart, this truck ran, drove, stopped, and steered, and it's one of our parade vehicles. And I have enough projects right now. I'm not going to start a full-on, tear down, reseal of this. So maybe I'll just address the components one at a time. Maybe I'll drop the transfer case next year and I don't know. But right now, rear axle was our big thing, because like I said, that pinion seal went and it was just dumping fuel, or not dumping fuel, it was dumping gear lube on the floor like Niagara Falls. So that obviously had to be addressed. And now, while it was here, I wanted to address this fuel filler hose, because every time we got gas, it was pissing out onto the ground, and everything around this truck smelled like fuel for 3 or 4 days. And then, of course, in the process of that, we have uncovered another problem with the fuel system. So that's just how it goes when you're dealing with these things. Everything spirals out of control, and you just got to figure out, prioritize and figure out when to say when, and address things as you have to. So I guess that's enough for today. Again, if you're in the Detroit metro area, stop by the museum. We're in East Point, right off of Gratiot Avenue. So if you're not from the area, if you look at the map and you see where I-94 and 696 run into each other, we're very close to that. MIMTHS.org is our website. And like and subscribe. And we will see you all soon. And hopefully we'll have this truck on the road and you'll be able to see it go down the road again. All right. Have a good one.